We're talking about Poynting. Poynting is about to change its name and is in the process of a reorganization, so that's what got me going. But for the moment anyway, let's talk about the listed entity Poynting, which is involved with the design, manufacture and supply of antennas and equipment related to the telecommunications industry in part, and also involved with businesses that function in the defense environment and a couple of other businesses of a consulting and development nature related to the IT industry. Market cap 406 million rand, price to earnings ratio 52.5, no dividends currently. So Lance, this is the one that's changing its name to Alaris, and the founding shareholder, whose name I think is Fourie, I forget his first name, is backing out the business that he launched, which is the antenna thing. And what will be left will be the defense solutions and some other business, which will then change its name. Bit of a messy story.
Yes, it's had a really troubled past. It listed under extremely difficult circumstances in a very difficult market. So it was almost say cursed, but it was a really difficult start. It wasn't a good time. They struggled to get the listing away.
Late in the 2008 sort of period, and then the market collapsed.
That's exactly right. So it was almost too late for it to list, but they pushed the listing through, and it has struggled since then. It's struggled, the shares struggled, but the operations have struggled. The ratings of most shares have recovered dramatically since then. Unfortunately, this hasn't happened as much, and it's because of the operations. Trying to export, trying to break into quite difficult markets, and haven't really seemed to be able to quite get there, and hence this restructuring that's happening now. Very disappointing share price performance over the last 12 months. It's halved approximately the share price.
Well, let's have a look at that. So it goes really well. So it kind of drags itself into the next decade after the disaster of the listing. Looks quite good at the beginning of 2014 with some deals. But then, as you say, it goes down by half from 5 rand to around 2.5.
Yeah, and it really hasn't delivered on its earnings. If you look at its earnings history, they've been very checkered and no consistency, some losses, some profits. And as I say, hence this restructuring and maybe trying to reposition the business.
Okay, but do I understand correctly that having had something like 40% of the shares, the founder now has reduced his holdings significantly, partly through a share buyback by the entity itself, and then he is going to, on an arm's length transaction-based basis, going to buy back the businesses which the new powers that be regard as non-core. He's going to then exit stage left. What will be left will be renamed Alaris, and that'll be the defense thing plus something else that I can't get my head around. This is in the IT era. How interesting or attractive will that remaining business be? Who knows?
Who knows, exactly. And this is a real turnaround situation, and so it's a different business, and it needs to prove itself.
Yeah, and its management needs to be identified, and they need to come forth and explain themselves and talk about their business prospects and so on.
Exactly.
Look, what we do know is that defense-linked industry is a bit of a checkered and difficult place to operate. We know that Arms Corps doesn't always do fabulously. Having government as clients, the Department of Defense, isn't always ideal. So it remains to be seen what an attractive environment or otherwise that is.
I think they're in a really difficult area, and a little bit of a, not indictment on South Africa, but just shows the difficulties of trying to be a manufacturer and export from South Africa, which is also a bit negative for them. So yes, it's almost like a new business, and the management will have to explain their strategy, and we'll have to see what is there, and it'll have to prove itself.
Yeah. Okay, good. So that sounds like a definite not hot.
Not hot.
In the way we look at these things, businesses that are in deep transition, unless there's some fantastic new business which has just come in and there's a valuation misunderstanding. But this sounds like a definite avoid until such time as one can get a better handle on things. Okay, good. So 2 not hots there.